Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. It's Barry Krevoy and
Nick Roop
with the Veterans Wealth Network. Guys, our goal here is to try and bring you some really intelligent, thought-provoking guests. And we got a great one for you today. We've got a guy by the name of Tim Hines, who is the owner of
Adrenaline Vans LLC, not to mention Navy veteran as well.
That's right. Guys, this guy's got a lot of wisdom. He's done a lot of different things in his life, and his company is just cool as hell. And we just thought, what a great guy to bring on here to hopefully inspire the rest of you to, keep going and to look out for your dreams. So with that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let's get going. All right. What's up, Tim?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, yeah. So I'll get started. Tim, we met Tim because our business development manager was searching for veteran-owned businesses, hashtag veteran-owned businesses. That was her direction. And lo and behold, we come across Tim. We talked to a lot of different veterans guys, and we want to try and bring people to the forefront that we think are going to be an inspiration to the rest of you guys that are out there watching this. We look for people that have an interesting story, but also have a good message. And it doesn't hurt to have a cool company. And Tim's got a really cool company. Adrenaline Vans is a cut. What, Tim, why don't you explain to people what Adrenaline Vans is, first of all?
Sure. We upfit Mercedes Sprinter vans. We do all the performance upgrades, all the custom accessories that you can think of to make Mercedes Sprinter van, these off-road adventure vans, to make them absolutely insane, off-road capable, super cool custom machines. So that's what we do. We just turn a boring cargo van into something completely wild and out of this world.
And we're going to give everybody a chance to, you'll see Tim's right there, adrenalinevans.com, to check this out. You will not be disappointed. So Tim, first of all, but whenever we do a recording like this, we do a little pre-interview so we can try and figure out the talking points. And, Tim's story about how he joined the Navy, I don't think is really mind-blowing, but I think it's worth, at least kind of mentioning, and then talking about how that transitioned to civilian life. So with that said, Tim, why don't you just tell them a little bit about, how you got in the Navy and how that led to your development into the real world.
Sure. Well, out of high school, I decided that I wanted to be involved in aviation. I wanted to fly in some form. I had looked at civilian flight schools. I'd looked at the community college programs and things like that, and nothing really blew me away. Nothing really grabbed my attention. But I have a lot of family members that were in the military, and I reached out to a Navy recruiter in town. He was the first recruiter I talked to, and he told me about this rescue swimmer program in the Navy, and I was hooked. So yeah, took the ASVAB, got signed up, got that under contract, and that's how I got in the Navy. That's how I got started. It was all because I wanted to fly. And while I wasn't a pilot, jumping out of a helicopter sounded pretty freaking rad to a 17-year-old kid. And so I was in, and it worked out great. I loved it. I had an awesome time in the service. It was an awesome experience.
And Tim, how long were you in the Navy for?
I was in for 5 years active duty, and then I got out and joined the reserves for about a year. And that was about as much boredom as I could take in the surface Navy world. Yeah.
So jumping out of helicopters, right, being a rescue diver, that's a big leap, if you will, to owning your business today.
Sure.
Help us understand, what was the journey like after you got out to the point of where you are now?
Right. I worked for a long time in the industrial environment. I worked in an industrial machine shop, welding, fabrication world. That kind of transitioned from that after several years from being out of the Navy. I transitioned from welding and fab in the industrial world to oil and gas. And that career path was great for me. I really enjoyed it because I'm working with a small, tight-knit team, traveling all over the country, working in remote locations, harsh environments, everywhere from the North Slope of Alaska to Texas. So that was a great fit for me. It's kind of like a bunch of mini deployments, if you will, all at once. A lot of rough personalities. It's really, really similar to being in the military, except you don't have to shave every day. So it's pretty cool. So I did that for about 10 years. And then in that environment, that industry is really cyclic, with the political climate, with the economy and stuff. So you're used to this up and down. If you've been in it for any period of time, you're used to boom and bust is what they call it in the industry. So 2020 came along. We kind of hit a bust. COVID happened. Everything shut down. Everybody freaked out. Nobody knew what was gonna happen. So we kind of saw it coming. Everybody that had been there for a long time knew it was coming. So April 2020 happened, and I said, you know what, guys, I'm gonna take a break. It's cool. I took a layoff. I went home. I was living in Grand Junction at the time, and I had been involved in the outdoor world for a while. Big motorsports guy. Always loved dirt biking. Always had a van. Loved traveling in this van. And people had told me, like, man, you should like start a business doing van stuff. And so I was like, yeah, man, I'll just do this little hobby business for a while until things pick back up. And so I launched this business, and I don't really half-ass anything. So I kind of just went all in with the business, and it just took off. And fast forward a couple of years, here we are now. We're building a brand new 11,000 square foot building. I've got multiple employees. We're constantly hiring, and I'm buried in work. And I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more stoked on how it turned out, but I absolutely did not expect it. That's for sure.
That's awesome. And so, go ahead, Barry.
No, go ahead, brother.
I was going to ask, so in making that transition, obviously in the middle of a pandemic, nonetheless, that's a huge, huge risk, right?
Yeah.
What was your mindset going into that?
Well, I didn't really have this mindset that, I could possibly fail. I think the military kind of brought that out of me. All the training I'd been through in the military was, failure is not really an option. Like, I'm going to make it through, and I'm going to be the best. I'm going to succeed at whatever I'm putting my mind to. So I didn't really think, I might fail. I didn't think it would take off like it did, but man, it really took off. And I think that the military taught me to never give up and always keep pushing. And that, in the downturn with that industry, I was like, man, I've got to do something else to dedicate my energy to, and I'm going to put it into this, and it just paid off.
I find a lot of the things that we talked about, for the pre-interview here, to be especially impactful, I think, to those people that are watching this, is that, first of all, you had mentioned, we asked you, like, what kind of advice would you give somebody getting out of the military? And, you said, have a plan, but also, the other things that you were talking about was that, working on oil fields doesn't sound particularly appealing to a lot of people, but for you, you loved it. You loved the hard work. Right. You loved the camaraderie. You love being able to get out and, to have fun for 2 weeks and go back to work for 2 weeks. But you also wish that, that you took you took advantage of a lot of that downtime differently. So why don't you kind of talk about that for the guys that are out there right now we're working in the oil fields, or they're, and they think that that's what they're going to do for the rest of their life. And you kind of get stuck in a box. So why don't you share what you shared with us about the person that inspired you in the Navy and how that changed you?
Sure. Yeah. I think you're referring to my senior crewman on my first deployment. who was this guy was just obsessed with learning, and he was always studying. He was always learning. Yeah, I even mentioned that kind of the highlight of his morning every day was logging onto the SIPRNet and seeing what was going on in the world, on the secret internet. And I couldn't think of a more boring thing to do with my time at the time, as a 19-year-old kid. But this guy was just obsessed with learning and always wanted to know more than everybody around him, and always wanted to be the master at whatever interested him. And that's the one thing I would certainly emphasize to somebody who's, looking to change where they're at, whether that be in the military now or they're in a kind of a boring dead end job that they want to shift away from. Take advantage of every moment that you get when it comes to downtime to learn, and it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm studying this book and it's really hard and I'm just trying to grind through this book. Whatever you're interested in. Whatever you're interested in, find a podcast that you're interested in, find a book, an audio book. Every night here at the shop, if I'm working late by myself, which is often, I have headphones in and I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to books, audio books. I'm constantly trying to learn more about how to be a better leader, how to be a better business owner, how to be better at marketing, and how to manage finances better. All of those things that, it doesn't cost you anything to learn this stuff. And that time, you got all this downtime. I think back, like you mentioned, asking about my time in the oil field. I had a lot of downtime working 13-hour days where I wasn't fully engaged at work. It was kind of a cruise control type job, for a couple of hours at a time. I could have been reading a book. I could have been studying something. I could have got a bachelor's degree, you name it. I wish now that I would have taken advantage of that time, because now I got to make up for that. But it's that's the one thing I would certainly encourage anybody who's looking to make a change in their life from or their career path, is just try to take advantage of learning as much as you can.
Well, to that point, Tim, I actually, sorry to interrupt, Barry. I was going to ask, where are you consuming your information? So you mentioned podcasts, you mentioned reading books. Are there any in particular that have your eye these days?
Well, man, I got introduced to podcasts with the Rogan podcast, right? Like so
didn't we all?
All of us, right? Everybody listens to Rogan. Whether you like him or not, everybody listens to that guy. And through his guests, I started learning about these other military dudes that are now successful business owners, entrepreneurs, guys that have podcasts, like the Cleared Hot podcast. Jocko Willink. I don't know if you listen to Jocko, but man, when he talks to Rogan about his business and just some of the things he's involved in, you're like, holy shit, man, this guy's got a lot going on, and it's super inspiring. Even if you're not into the raw Navy SEAL stuff, you can still glean a lot from that guy. And then all these people that I listen to, they have guests on that you're like, oh man, that guy sounds interesting. So you look him up, or they have somebody on that wrote a book and you're like, that sounds interesting. So I'm going to listen to that book. And it just kind of spirals from there. But really, honestly, it was Joe Rogan that I started listening to him because he's entertaining. And from there, I realized that, you can listen to podcasts and be entertained and engaged, but actually learn a ton and get exposed to a lot of stuff that's way outside of your little world that you live in from day to day.
This is so funny to hear this, because he comes up on a lot of these live streams that we're talking about. And, it's not like we're the Joe Rogan fan club that we intentionally want to promote Joe Rogan. Right. But it's true. Like Joe Rogan, is a comedian who is widely thought of as a meathead until he got his podcast. And like, you realize this guy's got an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. Like that's what makes him so interesting, is he wants to know a little bit about everything, and if you watch him, you start getting that, like, I want to know a little bit about everything, and I think that there can be a little inspiration there for maybe why Nick and I started doing this, is that, if it doesn't do anybody any good unless you can share, whatever it is that you find compelling, and And one of the things that I really liked about your story, Tim, is that you have that go-getter like mentality. You know, we were talking about like, is there anything that you can glean from serving that, you know, has done you well? And I think that we all agree that the one thing that we can attribute it to is, like you said, that, you know, there's no such thing as I can't do it. Like I will figure it out kind of thing.
Yeah.
You found something that you were really good at that people were like going, I'd buy that, you know, or can you do that for me? And you turned it into this awesome business. Guys, I'm not kidding you. You got to go to this guy's website, go to Adrenaline Vans. You're going to be blown away at the quality and the creative way that Adrenaline Vans customize these vans. But the other thing that I think that is really interesting about you is that you widely admit you don't know what the hell you're doing. It's like the road to hell is paved with stories of people telling me that I should go start a business because I'm good at something. Just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I should own the business doing that very thing, because it's a whole different deal. You know, it's just not about doing the vans at this point. Now you've got to be not only good at creating the product, but good at marketing the product, good at, you know, producing the product, good at, you know, all the business side of things. So we were talking, the three of us, about like, Nick recently ran into somebody that, he served with that, he wasn't doing, maybe what he's meant to be doing for the rest of his life. And a lot of you guys might be out there feeling that way right now, and you're just trying to get some inspiration from somebody. And man, Tim's got that in spades. And the cool thing about this is, Tim, and I'm going to shut up and let you talk. I got a point here. Is that we're creating like these different videos of people that are going to wind up somehow being intermingled. I'm convinced of it, because we interviewed this great guy who owns the Grand Canyon Brewing Company, John Peasley, and he says to us, I just lost my accountants. They told me I'm doing too much business. I need to go find somebody else because they can't help me anymore. Lo and behold, Mike and I talked to a guy. He's like, he's an enrolled IRS agent and an accountant. And I mean, I really believe that through this network of people that we are going to be able to, kind of fill some needs there. Yeah. What do you think that, what is it that we could do for you, Tim? Like, as a community, not just me and Nick, but like, is there anything that you hope to achieve that maybe you find a little out of reach right now?
Man, I tell you, the big, probably one of the number one struggles, and I know it's not just me, I know it's small business owners, large business owners, it's just across the board that businesses are struggling with right now, is finding quality people. And I think so many times, I interview a lot of people trying to find a good fit for our team. And I always, in my mind, I'm like, man, I wish I could hire me when I first got out of the Navy, because that dude was hungry. Yeah. He was cocky. He thought he knew everything, but you know what? Even if I didn't know everything, like, I could listen. I could with a good leader, I could take orders and I would kick ass no matter what job I was given. And I'm like, man, I want to find that guy. I want to find 6 of those guys to come work for me right now, because then we would be absolutely unstoppable. And I know I'm not the only business owner, the only veteran-owned business owner out there that has that same sentiment. Man, if there's guys that are like looking at getting out of the military, like it's, they want to move on, they want to do something else. There are people out there that absolutely want you to work for them and would welcome you to bring that experience and that mentality of that sailor or soldier mentality to the business. And man, you would be an extremely valuable asset for sure.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, Tim, you had a quote earlier. I've heard it before, but I love it. I'll let you kind of take it away, but success is the equation, right?
Right. Well, they say luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
There we go. That's the one.
Yeah. So, man, I do think that's true. You know, you see all these guys that are successful, or what, you know, people look at him and like, oh man, that guy's so lucky. He just stumbled into this business and it's taken off and he's making tons of money, or he's just crushing it with this sport that he's, you know, become very good at. The reality is that that dude has probably been working on his craft or studying or working 100+ hour weeks for months and months or years to get to where he's at there. It's a result of that hard work, and the right opportunity came along, and he was able to take advantage of that opportunity only because he had put in that work and that effort ahead of time.
Look at the Beatles. The Beatles, you know, they thought was like an overnight success. It turned out they were playing at strip clubs for years, you know,
right.
6 hours a night, 7 days a week.
I mean, you can find tens of thousands of these stories everywhere with these, you know, whether it be athletes or musicians, artists, business owners, it's everywhere. And the recipe is pretty much the same. You know, somebody's grinding away at their craft or whatever they're interested in. And finally, the right opportunity comes along that, had they not been working their ass off for that time, you know, that period of time ahead of that, they wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it. It would never have happened. And to most everybody that's just looking in from the outside, they're like, oh, wow, this is like overnight success. It's far from it.
Well, I think also the one thing that you hit on, Tim, that it's worth, you know, diving a little deeper into is, you know, you talk about Jocko Willink. I've seen Jocko live a couple of times. Like every company I go to winds up hiring Jocko to come speak to us.
Right.
And we're not it's not because we're all in the military. It's about being a great leader. So I don't care if you're a janitor. Like if you spend your time, your free time, you know, focusing on what it takes to be a great leader.
Yeah.
When an opportunity presents itself and you have an opportunity to inspire somebody or to lead them, that was not wasted time. I mean, it seems like almost everybody that we interview, they keep saying this over and over again, you know, that it's about the way that you lead. You're never going to get a great employee if you're not a great employer. If you're not a great leader, if you don't know how to take charge and to guide people and inspire them, then how are you ever going to be? You can be the greatest, artist in the world, but if you don't know how to, you know, sell your art or inspire people with your art, you're never going to sell it. And the same thing with the greatest, you know, van modification company in the world. It's not a one-man show. All this preparation that you've done to be a great leader, all the podcasts you're listening to, the books that you're reading, it's preparing you for, you know, to be able to rise to the occasion. And I think that is definitely something everybody can take away. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
To that point too, like there's obviously been a progression over the last few years, right? From you probably doing a primarily focus on the installs and really putting your head down, like doing the grunt work there. But I'm curious, Tim, and I think a lot of people would also be interested in hearing, what does a day in the life look like now? Now that you're a leader, now that you're a business owner, what does that look like?
Yeah. Even though my day is maybe structured a little differently than it was, say, 2 years ago, all day, every day, you're absolutely obsessed with the business, right? It's your baby. And I've heard people say that before, like, oh, it's my baby. Dude, it is your baby. And if you want to make it successful, if you want to make money and become profitable and have a successful business, you have to have that mentality 24/7. That's your baby. And you got to do everything to nurture it and grow it and make it successful. So, you know, my day starts out in the morning. I'll wake up and immediately I'm thinking about my day at work, right? What I need to accomplish. A good day starts out with some exercise. I don't always get it in because sometimes, dude, you got to be at the shop. But exercise, if I could, every single day would start with that, just to clear the mind. It's good for the body, right? I get to the shop in the morning though, and have a meeting with my guys here on the floor, and we talk about what we have on the schedule for the day. And it's a small team. It's a tight-knit team. We talk about what's on the schedule. We try to plan accordingly. I actually have a couple of quotes on my whiteboard in the shop. You're going to laugh. It's from Jocko's book, Extreme Ownership. But I literally have cover and move written on the board out there. And what's the other one I've got? Prioritize and execute. And like those two things, man, those two quotes from his book, we use those constantly. We're always, we got work flowing in. We got to reprioritize. We got to adapt and overcome as things change throughout the day. So we start the day with a solid plan, and then it's like nonstop, man. I'll come into the office. Usually the first couple hours of the day are spent in the office, catching up on emails, doing all the financial side of things, talking to my vendors, ordering product. I'll go back out on the shop floor, see how things are coming out there. If I need to QC any work that's been done in the morning, I'll do that then. We'll kind of regroup, plan for the afternoon, execute the afternoon. I'll wrap up the day by making sure that the shop is all cleaned up for the day, make sure my guys are good to go, clear on what we're doing the next day, make sure all the product is laid out, things are in order for the next day. We really pride ourselves in having everything prepped ahead of time. So when somebody comes in, it's all ready to go. So that's how we wrap it up in the shop. I'll come into the office for the final bit of my day, and it's usually the last, emails, podcasts, whatever kind of media stuff I need to do at the end of the day, I'll do. I run all of our own social media, so I'll process photos, videos, and stuff like that. That's kind of how I like to wind down or wrap up my days, kind of decompress by maybe editing some photos and things like that, and then jet out of here and head home and try to spend some time with my girlfriend or ride motorcycles or just relax a bit. But that's pretty much my day.
Nice. Yeah. Well, dude, I can't tell you how much we appreciate this. If somebody wants to contact you, why don't we remind everybody where you're physically located? So
I'm in Montrose, Colorado, which is the western slope of Colorado, right next to the San Juan Mountain Range.
So, you're looking for why don't you kind of describe like a skill set that you're looking for that, since you're growing right now and you are looking for talented people, what should somebody, when they're watching this, go, wow, that kind of sounds like something I could do, or I think I could add real value. What are you looking for?
Sure. If you wrenched on a piece of equipment in the military, whether it be a tank or a helicopter or an airplane or a ship, if you have a mechanical mindset and aptitude for working on things mechanical, and you have a high level of attention to detail, I want to talk to you. Like that's the person I'm trying to reach for sure.
Nice. Dude, I love what you just said.
Yeah.
If you worked in the military, if you wrenched in the military, and because I don't mean, you and I think we originally talked about this when it was just you and me on the phone. Like when I got out of the Marine Corps, like I thought I was going to work in the airlines, and I put in applications. They're like going, sorry, you're not qualified. You need real world experience. And it seemed like almost serving was going against me. I was anytime I would put on my resume, I thought I was real proud of it. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. But everybody else is like, so what? Like, what have you done in the real world? And the fact that you go out of your way to look for hard chargers that have served is just so inspiring to me, dude. I just love you, man.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Nick, you want to add to this before we let Tim go, bro?
No, I would just echo what you said, Barry. I really appreciate you taking the time to connect, Tim. I'm looking forward to checking back in and seeing how you continue to grow. And we're obviously, Barry and I are big supporters and excited to follow your journey with the Adrenaline Bands. Yeah,
well, thanks for having me on, guys. I really enjoyed it. It's great talking to you, and I love what you guys are doing with this, and excited to hear from folks. So hopefully this reaches some people and can inspire some people.
One last thing, Tim, if somebody wants to get their van, Adrenaline van customized, do you have vans that are coming in from all over the country, or do you find that most of your business is local?
Dude, we have We have customers from New Jersey all the way to California, all over the country. People make the drive out here to Montrose to have us do what we do to their rigs. So we have quite a few customers here in the local region, if you will, Colorado, Utah area. But we do have customers from all over the country. We've even shipped van parts overseas.
Wow.
People that found us on Instagram, they were like, dude, I love that van. It looks freaking rad. We shipped a huge pallet of parts, bumpers and such for a van to Kazakhstan last year. It was really crazy. So pretty cool the reach that you can have with our modern world with social media and stuff. So yeah, it definitely far extends beyond just Colorado.
That's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much, Nick. As always, brother. Appreciate you. Right now it's 6 o'clock my time. It's 7 o'clock Tim's time and 9 o'clock Nick's time. Nick needs to go take a nap. Nick needs to go to sleep. Actually, Nick will be the last person to go to sleep.
I will be the last person to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's the thing about Nick. Well, guys, thank you so much. I hope you got something out of this. Don't forget to hit up Tim. And if you know a veteran-owned business that you think we should be talking to that has, a compelling story, or even a business that maybe it's not veteran-owned, but they just cater towards veterans, please, message us or, introduce us to them. Subscribe, hit the bell. And then also, if you want to comment on any of these social media platforms, you want to ask questions there, don't be afraid to do that. Thank you. And guys, thank you. Appreciate both of you guys.
Thanks, Barry. Nick, good to meet you.
Take care, gents.